up with Astralis taking on Zero Tenacity. So 2 pretty banging games. Of course, then we've got some to be decided for later on to see basically who is actually going to be surviving the scares of the lower bracket and making this run. For all the teams remaining here, we've got, 8 teams? Metaspore, Namiga, Heroic, Big, Astralis, Zero Tenacity, BetBoom, and Hester. There is 1 spot available. It's as simple as that. We've already confirmed 4. Gamer Legion, 3D Max, BC Game, and Falcons.
Yeah, some pretty cool names coming in there, which is kind of nice. BC Game, nice to see them. Yeah. Obviously, we know a few players on that team, and it's good to see them landing on their feet and qualifying at sort of the first opportunity, so that's cool. But yeah, yesterday was very, very important, I think, for some of these bigger teams. Squads like Big, Heroic, Astralis, maybe BetBoom as well, you could include in there, will be a little disappointed in themselves, I think, to not make it through, right? The 3D Max Heroic game, pretty tough one, to be honest with you. Heroic going down quite quickly there. Astralis losing out to BC Game. They lost Inferno in the double overtime. So, you know, certainly tough. And with the way that this format is, you have maybe 1 bad map and it can cost you massively. So I think certainly some work to be done in that sense. But of course, just the way that it goes, and when they're trying to run, we might get, you know, more qualifiers for like Chengdu, for example, when they're trying to run these like middling events, right? You do have to have a lot of qualified teams coming in, I suppose. And yeah, it's tough to get right, but it does feel like the format is absolutely savage. You know, like the lower bracket guys, you play more games, but there's only 1 qualification spot going on. So yeah, you really do have to play the perfect Counter-Strike on the opening day. We got the veto for this one to talk over as well, as we just sort of set the scene there. Metasport, a team that I think were very, very impressive this time last year, and caught a lot of people's attention. Of course, the Falcons win on Overpass, but since then have maybe not looked as great. Few moves here or there, maybe trying to survive as an organization. We know how it goes in the tier 2. They have to sell off a few players, and they've not quite hit that same mark. I will say the sort of recent addition of bringing in Hampus into this year, I'm kind of interested to see how that's going to go.
Agreed. I always thought, I mean, especially what we saw in Bleed, Hampus for me felt like probably one of the best fragging IGLs that we actually had in tier 2, and I think there's, you know, there's pieces to like here. Plopsky no longer has to be involved in that. He can focus on the rifling solely. You got Adam B as well, who always felt like a very solid player in the tier 2. Isaac, a tier 1 guy at one point in his career, now trying to kind of find his form back again in the tier 2. And Lumi, who's I think a little bit more of the unknown name, but is actually a very solid AWPer on his day. He can put up some really good numbers and find some really good form. So I think for Metasport, they've got a bit of a point to prove